is going to be a video walkthrough of what I'm trying to accomplish in terms of merging eventually a decent amount of all my repositories into a single monorepo. For now, I'm starting with trying to use NX and combining all these Stencil and Docusaurus websites into a single repository. So first off, let me just show you, to start, we're gonna move over a single repository, which is the install doctor site repository. Here, I'll just so it's in the video. We'll go to this. You can see there's install doctor site, and this is a site that's based off of the ionic capacitor site, which is built with Stencil. Also, there is I did a lot of work on this, like modernizing it and adding some cool features. But basically, what you have to know is it's actually two different sites. So it has a Stencil-based site, and then there, you could see right here is a link to the Docusaurus site, which you could find just by adding the docs at the end of this. And then there's the doc site, which is a Docusaurus website. So let me just go through these files. So yeah. So in this repository, everything that you need is basically under source, the source file. There's just like a bunch of components, and then there's pages here. So the pages are all used for like different URLs, and then all the components used across the app are stored in this single folder. It's like Stencil. Like Stencil PWAs are similar, like the way it's coded, it's kind of like React. So if you know React, it should be fairly easy to pick up. But basically, so the next thing I want to show you real quick is, so I started trying to use NX to combine all the different Stencil websites I have. So basically all the Stencil websites, basically like the code shared between this and another Stencil website, almost all of it is similar. For instance, in components, if you look at anything, let's go to code tabs. Like all this code is similar across different sites that use the same code base, and you can see two examples of them right here. So this, you don't have to worry about this for now, but eventually we'll be moving this over to the monorepo too. But you could see, like all this, and then we have install doctor, which is the one I want to move over first. But you can see they're like similar websites. I mean, there's different colors and stuff, but they basically use the same format. You kind of see like here, you can see. And basically I want to have, so two of these projects would be combined into three different, or two apps and a library inside an NX project. And basically I want to move as much code as possible. Like all these components should be in a library that's shared between the install doctor site, and then I probably have, we could check out megabyte.space site, and you can see it's the same thing. So these are all public repositories. I keep all my code public, so you shouldn't have a problem finding the code. But basically all these components need to be moved into a third part, like a third library. So in the NX repository, which I'll show you right here, we have Megabyte Labs. And you could see I just uploaded a bunch of stuff. So you have like some work to go off of, but you could see if you look inside packages, we have 3 different projects so far. So we have the site, which I just showed you, and then I cleaned it up, and I'll get back to that in a second. Then we have the docs, which is the Docusaurus stuff, and the Stencil Docusaurus library. If you go into that, click source and click under components, and all those shared components that I mentioned before that I want to have shared across multiple sites, that's all in here. And the way, and I'm flexible in terms of like how we can accomplish this, but basically if you look at the install doctor site in this NX monorepo, click source, you see we have all the like platform, I mean all the site specific stuff in here. There might be some we could share, but I'm comfortable with this format. So we can go to, so in router.tsx, you can see it defines all the different routes. So here we have the community page, and then here's the blog page, here's the terms of service and the privacy policy page. But you can see that all these pages are just defined here, and then we're using the data to populate them from the store file. So the store file is where we're keeping all of the site-specific data. So you can see, like, you know, Facebook app ID and, you know, solution page. So let's see, you can see like all the text, and then the images used on each of these stencil websites is stored in this single file. You know, it's like almost 2,000 lines, but for instance, you could see, let's see where it exports. So community page data is there, and then we have one called defaults too, which is pretty much used across the whole app. But yeah, so basically we take all this data and then we go into the router, and you can see we import all that, and then so I'm pretty sure the so the landing page data, yeah, so anyway, so the landing page, we just pass this variable called data, and that includes the landing page data, and then, you know, that way we can just define this in this install doctor site, and then all the components, though, we want to share those across, like if we were to have multiple sites like this, like megabyte.space-docs and megabyte.space-site, then we can import all the components and whatnot from a different library. That way, whenever, if I wanted to, you know, upgrade from HubSpot to MailChimp for the email signups, I would just have to modify one component in this shared library, and then just basically rebuild and deploy all the other sites instead of having to manually edit like a bunch of different libraries and whatnot. So let's just show you. So here's the original project, install doctor-site. So we have, if we go into the package JSON, we could see we have a few different commands. The ones I want you to worry about would be, you can check out, let's see, Yeah, so basically all these commands should be included. So let's see. So we should just try our best to make start work in the NX repository, deploy, and then like the build for prod. Yeah, and you'll just have to like look at what I'm doing here to figure out the best way of combining all those into the NX way of doing things. So let's try npm run start just so you can see the website, so you know it works right now. So you could see all these sites do server-side rendering. So the whole website, when it gets deployed, is completely static. But that's when you build it. But when you start it, it's like it needs server-side rendering and all that kind of stuff. But when you build it, it's all pre-rendered into a single folder that you can deploy. So let's check this out. So we have 3. And now when we go here, it's all good. But when you click on docs, you get a 404 not found because the docs are in a separate project, which is stored in the install.doctor-docs repository. So one thing, this is just a side note, this isn't required at the beginning, but one thing I want to do is fix that. So if you click docs in development mode, it'll go to the Docusaurus website, and we can accomplish that by somehow creating like a local proxy. I'm sure Rollup or whatever Stencil uses supports proxying, so you could proxy /docs to whatever Docusaurus launches as. So it would be like localhost 3341/docs would proxy to localhost like 3100 if that's where Docusaurus is running /docs. Yeah. So anyway, let's get out of there. And then we could go to the docs website and run that too. Let's just see what. Okay, so we want to run serve. So start. So npm run start. So I'm just going to show you the Docusaurus website working as well here. Okay, what is this doing? Oh, so there's a few scripts that populate the documentation from the cloud, because the comments in some of these scripts are used to generate the documentation. You shouldn't have to worry about this part of the project yet. Yeah, so it's just creating. Okay, now we can check out the Docusaurus section, and then see here you go. Here's all the documentation for install doctor. It just has everything. All right, so both of those work. Now the next step is to combine. So this is the project that I'm looking to bring someone on for. But let's go to, I'm just calling this project, it's going to be Megabyte Labs /Megabyte Labs on GitHub, and this will be a monorepo for all the different code that Megabyte Labs is responsible for. And Megabyte Labs is basically just my own brand for all the open source stuff I do. So here we can open up VS Code. Let's do this real quick. So if we run through everything, you can see it's all like pretty much standard stuff the way NX sets it up. I haven't done anything with this. I've created 3 different packages, and you can see I moved all the components. I fixed the basic bugs. You can see this.defaults gets passed in from that single state file that each site will have, and this is a shared library. So what I'm not sure about Stencil is whether you're supposed to compile a shared library with a bunch of components before importing it. I'm not sure if that's the proper way of doing it. Like, I don't think this file is ever getting touched in the example I'm about to show you. So and like neither is this tsconfig, or maybe this is like this is missing a bunch of parameters that are in this tsconfig. So maybe that's why I'm running into errors, because they're using 2 different tsconfigs. But I doubt that anyway, because so you could see I tried my best to separate as much code out into this stencil Docusaurus lib, and I'd like you to do the same. Like if there's a way of storing anything else that's in here inside of the stencil Docusaurus lib, then let's do that. But also I would like the ability for other people. So like don't store you know, anything that has. You could store that, but let's see. So for instance, I mean, this isn't the greatest example, but this should not be stored in stencil Docusaurus lib, because this is specific to install doctor, since it has the install doctor URLs. I mean, granted we could use templating to get rid of that, but for now I'm not concerned about that. Anyway, so these are all the files that are kind of unique to install doctor, like this icon, these icons and whatnot. So I wasn't able to figure out how we could store this single component in the shared library, because it requires access to the state, and that state is stored inside of each site project. So it required this. Yeah. So, and I wasn't really exactly sure how to use this create store. Like, if you have to use the store to share all this data, that's fine too. But I think I already worked it out where, like, all the data can be centralized in a single file, and then that can populate the whole website. Yeah, so the styles, just to let you know, like, I have, so there's a separate style for offline, which basically just imports everything. It's just like a hacky fix to make I forget what it's called, offline. I think this means like no, yeah, I forget exactly why it's called offline. But anyway, there should be clues to that somewhere in like the package JSON file. Let's check that out real quick. We could look over here. Go to check out the package JSON, and then we'll look at style. Okay, so that is used to create the no script CSS. So for whatever reason, when JavaScript is off, the site wasn't showing up properly. So that's the reason I'm doing this. That there's like this weird style default, style offline stuff. Yeah, so anyway, so there's just this one component. If you can figure out a way of storing this component inside of the stencil Docusaurus lib, that would be ideal. But if we have to store like one component in each single site, that's fine. Like if you have to add a couple files, the whole point is just to make it so that these projects have as few files as possible. So like basically it should only have the images. Another thing I'd like to introduce is maybe storing the fonts. Like the fonts could be, actually that I could just, yeah, so like basically if we can move this fonts folder into the shared library, that would be good. The images can stay where they are. The JavaScript, that we can just leave this as is, but the fonts I would like moved. And then let's see, the last one, so we have components. I'm missing something. Let's see, I'm looking for because we should have pages. Oh right, so even the pages I'm storing in this third library. But anyway, so you saw before that it's working with when it's just the single repository before I modified it and separated out all the code. But you can see if we run nx serve install doctor-site, that's how you run the project with nx installed. I don't know, it just doesn't work. And this nx run install.doctor-site uses, so I fixed a bunch of errors, but I couldn't figure out how to get past this one. It's going to require like a little bit of debugging to like get this working. But basically you can see in the nx project, oh nope, not that. We can go to package.json. So the package.json for the NX project has a lot more stuff than the stencil project. You can see I'm including all the stencil project stuff here, but right here is the plugin that's being used to handle nx serve install.doctor-site, and then when we serve it, let's try it again. Escaped out of it. We can, even though there was an error, I mean obviously it's not going to work, but anyway, let's see what it generated. Nope, so 3, 4, 2. So you can see we get that error. It loads the index. I know this because this script is in the index. And basically that's the first step, to just basically get the local version of install doctor working the same way but with NX. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. And the also after that, whatever code in the install.doctor-docs that you could store in the stencil Docusaurus lib, please like move anything you can over there too. And also, okay, and here's a couple of things. We basically any files that you know, are shared. It can be shared, like say if we had install.doctor and then, you know, mysite.com. Any files that can be stored in this library should be stored there. You know, we want to keep the whole thing dry, so only unique code should be in the dash site and dash docs. And yeah, so that's it. So in the docs, actually this docs repository, I haven't done any work on. I just generated the Docusaurus site with the NX plugin for Docusaurus, and I never moved the install.doctor dash docs into this folder. But you can do that by grabbing the code from the install.doctor-docs repository, and then you'll just have to go through this stuff and figure out what's common and what's not, and move it into that repository. Okay, and Stencil is pretty cool. I like, if you check out the install.doctor website, I mean, it's like super fast. Like, it's way faster than other websites. I actually was reading some articles, and Stencil can be even faster than Svelte or whatever, like the latest and the greatest. It's like a really fast front end framework, just because it basically compiles everything into you know, pre-made files, and it's really great. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Basically, I just want to have install doctor working, and I want to be able to run in this top directory. I want to be able to run nxserve install.doctor, and that should run the local setup, and then there should be nxbuild install.doctor, and that would build the production assets for, you know, both sites, and then put them in a single folder that we can deploy with Firebase. And this is not built in yet, but eventually I'd like to do nx deploy install.doctor, and that'll deploy it to Firebase, which is where the website's hosted. Okay. And just to squeeze something in for this website, so everything I just mentioned is basically what I'm looking for this assignment. But just some food for thought, the next phase of this project would be to include this functionality. So I want to use, is it front matter? Wait, so let me just check this. Let's check this out real quick. So I'm using GitHub code spaces. It's not configured right, so it's going to give me an error message. Let me go to a different project. Okay, so this is what I want to integrate. Nope, that's not it. Frontmatter.codes. Okay, so I'm looking to integrate the Docusaurus part of the website, and I want to use this framework. And I think this, you know, it says a CMS that works seamlessly along with any static site generator, and that they have the Docusaurus logo here. So basically the goal is to get the Docusaurus part of the website, which is stored under the docs folder or in the install.doctor-docs folder, and I want to have that part of it working with this Visual Studio Code extension. And then after that, this would be phase 2. We can go to megabyte space -site, and it's similar to the install doctor site, and it's shared, so they share the same code base, and same for megabyte space -docs. And I want to integrate these two repos into the NX solution. But the problem with that is right now, if you go into basically any component or anything, so we go to the page, check out the pages. If we go to the product page, actually that's a bad example. Let's go to the landing page, and you could see I haven't moved over this data into that state file yet, and like there's a bunch of bindings missing. Like, so to use actually basically there shouldn't be that much work involved, because I already went in and like changed most of the strings to, so actually, okay, scratch that. So in the Stencil Docusaurus library, all of those components were scaffolded to leverage this data structure. So all you have to do is kind of ignore all the components, and just make sure that the landing page data and whatnot is similar to the install doctor. So yeah, so you can actually just let me know if you have any questions about that. It might get let's see. Yeah, so this data right here is hard coded, and it has to be changed. Yeah, so basically you'll have to do some code digging to see how it all works and what data is missing. So just to show you what data is actually missing, go to install.doctor/site, go to the landing page, and then you can see right away that we have, that data is being fed in through this property, and that is coming from, you could see data, and that's coming in. So we just have to move all the scattered like text in the megabyte.space-site repository and store it in the same format that the install doctor store.ts has it. Most of it, a lot of it is already formatted in the way it needs, but anyway, okay. So that's it for now. So the first, just to reiterate, what I'm expecting is just up to the part where we get to frontmatter.codes. And that's it. Hopefully you accept this gig. Thanks for watching. Bye.